It's been 2 years of diligent service and painstaking approach to enacting legislation and timely response to issues affecting Nigerians. In the last 2 years, the Ninth Senate has truly been the People's Senate. The Ninth Senate began on June 11th, 2019 with an election which saw the emergence of Senator Ahmed Lawan as Senate President and Senator Ovie Omoagege as Deputy Senate President. From the onset, it developed a legislative agenda to guide lawmakers in the pursuit of its constitutional mandates of lawmaking, representation, and oversight. The legislative agenda focused on the economy, security, constitutional amendment, judicial and electoral reforms, job creation, education, and healthcare. These lofty goals were set against the backdrop of the dwindling revenue from oil price volatility, economic crunch, security challenges, and a host of other socio-economic upheavals. The agenda is intended to provide solutions to these challenges. However, the COVID-19 pandemic was not envisaged, neither was the devastating effects it would have on the economy. Nevertheless, the Senate responded promptly with several interventions, namely a series of engagements with the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, discussions with the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs to examine the implementation of the Social Investment Program, as well as swift passage of the revised 2020 budget to address the pandemic. On June 9th, 2021, the Senate held a special session to mark its second anniversary. The session was an opportunity for stock-taking and assessment of its legislative interventions in the last 2 years. Senate President Ahmed Lawan opened the session, highlighting the interventions of the Senate in lawmaking and different sectors. The achievements of the Ninth Senate are results of the unprecedented initiatives intended to change the face of lawmaking in Nigeria in legislation, oversight, and representation and advocacy, where great progress has been recorded.
The primary responsibility of Parliament is to make laws for the good governance of that country. That is also the priority of our agenda. About 742 bills were introduced during the 2 sessions of the Assembly, of which 58 have been passed. 355 bills have gone through first reading, 175 bills have gone through second reading and have been referred to the relevant committees for further legislative business, while 11 bills referred by the House of Representatives for concurrence have also been passed. The bills cut across all the sectors and touch on most areas of needs in the lives of our citizens.
One of the greatest initiatives undertaken by the Ninth Senate to aid economic revival is the return of the country to a one-year budget cycle.
As I've said earlier, we agreed in our agenda to focus on some key areas, including the economy. One of our most significant interventions in this sector is the restoration of the national annual budget to the January to December cycle. This measure has made the nation's fiscal plans more predictable and boosted the confidence of local and foreign investors in our economy. It is noteworthy that for the first time under the Fourth Republic, the budget achieved 100% implementation level last year, the 2020 budget. The restoration was achieved in partnership with our colleagues in the House of Representatives and with the cooperation and commitment of the executive arm of government. And it signaled the possibilities in our country when all stakeholders are working together. Also noteworthy is the passage of the Deep Offshore and Inland Basin Production Sharing Contracts Act, CAP, D3 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2009. We passed this very important law to increase Nigeria's share of revenue from its crude oil. In other laws that we passed are having significant impacts on the economy include the Finance Bill 2019, Nigeria Tax and Fiscal Law, SB 140, which amended 7 existing tax laws. In our legislative agenda, we had also promised to create a legal environment conducive for ease of doing business. We kept this promise by passing the Companies and Allied Matters Act, Cap C20 LFN 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2019, SB 270. On the PIB, we promised to break the jinx on the petroleum industry bill, and we are on the verge of doing this by finally passing the bill sometimes this month of June, something that has defied passage for over 20 years.
The Ninth Senate positioned itself as a people-centered Senate by intervening in pressing national issues which have direct impact on the lives of Nigerians. One of such issues is the security challenges confronting the nation.
Security challenges are currently pushing our country to the edge of the precipice. Insurgency, banditry, kidnapping, and attacks on public facilities are occurring daily in many parts of the country, with our security forces stretched almost to their elastic limit. To address the emergency, we passed several resolutions as part of our legislative interventions and kept engaging with the executive in order to achieve the desired outcome. And here, this Senate, under the leadership of the Senate leader, held a roundtable discussion with all the security agencies, and we had very, very supportive resolutions which we passed to the executive arm of government.
One cannot forget in a hurry the Ninth Senate's contributions to the fight against corruption by working to find practicable solutions to the challenge. It has taken steps to operationalize its resolve to curb corruption, eliminate waste, block wastages in the system, and hold to account ministers and heads of agencies and departments by enacting relevant laws, performing oversight functions, which helped in the fight against corruption. Several anti-corruption legislations were enacted and provided the legal and institutional framework to strengthen the operations of the anti-graft agencies.
The fight against corruption is critical to the progress of Nigeria and is a key point in the agenda of the All Progressives Congress led federal government, the All Progressives Congress led federal government of President Muhammadu Buhari. As part of our commitment to the success of the fight, we passed the Chartered Institute of Forensic Investigative Professionals of Nigeria to boost institutional capacity for fighting corruption in Nigeria. We believe that the new institute will provide the kind of services that can nip corruption in the bud in both the public and private sectors. We had earlier passed the Public Procurement Act 2007 Amendment Bill 2019 and the Public Procurement Act 2007 Amendment Bill SB 158, also to block the avenues for corruption in the procurement process by the MDAs.
The Ninth Senate has also taken up the ambitious task of amending the 1999 Constitution, enacting a new electoral act for better elections as well as working to pass the Petroleum Industry Bill. The floor was then opened and one after the other, senators from the ruling party and the opposition party made their contributions on the performance of the upper chamber in the last 2 years.
Our motions on security alone are 67. On the economy, we have about 106. On health issues, we have 16. On education, we have 10. And I know that before we go on, this number is going to increase. Like I said, it's not really the number that matters, but the quality. This is why we have paid more attention to the laws that give our people opportunity to prosper and create a level ground for them to explore their potentials. I sincerely congratulate every one of us for putting in the hard work to ensure that we pass these bills.
The unity of purpose, which we have so marvelously worked for up to date, has enabled us to achieve those giant strides you have mentioned. And I think if you look at one of the bills you have mentioned, the production sharing contract, which never saw the light of the day until this assembly, is a testimony to how we have been able to work in very clear terms and in unity in the interest of this country.
We have done very well on our legislative agenda, particularly expanding affordable health care. This Senate passed the National Health Insurance Agency Act. This Senate was able to move basic health care provision fund to statutory allocation. And I want to summarize and say that it's not yet huru for us. We have a lot to do in the next 2 years, particularly to expand access to our people in terms of financing healthcare. I look forward to in 2022 budget, we'll be able to do better in terms of allocating more resources, particularly passing what we call sin tax law that will help us to improve healthcare financing.
A journey of 4 years, we've done 2 years, with the bills that you mentioned here, and those that have been passed, and those that are waiting passage. And with the promise, I want to join Senator Adamu Elero, that the Electoral Act, Mr. President, that Electoral Act is the concern of each and every Nigerian to create transparency on the electoral system. And Mr. President, you, when you promise, would believe that as our leader, you always fulfill that promise.
On security issue, I want to say to you that you also try to align the Senate with the wishes of the people, especially at the point everybody was talking about changing the service chiefs or the service chiefs. It appears the executive were dragging their legs, but you came out strongly to align with the masses. Whether it was successful or not, but at least we were able to align with the masses that this should be done. That's another area I think I'm impressed that we have done very well.
Like others have actually stated, we might not be where they want us to be, but we are not also where we used to be. So a lot of progress has been made. Mr. President, I know that under your leadership, you have taken advantage of the executive and leadership collaborations to attend the much that we have attended for ourselves today. And I can say, Mr. President, under your guidance, in line with your agenda and the agenda of this 9th Assembly, that we are at the verge of passing the PIB, which has actually eluded us in the last 20 years. Mr. President, under your collaboration, Mr. President, I can also inform the Senate that just 2 weeks ago, on the basis of the expectations of the passage of the PIB, the NNPC and its partners just signed the FID for Bonga Southwest, which will attract over $10 billion of investment into this country in the next couple of months.
Despite challenges and without fear of any equivocation, that in the area of lawmaking, the 9th Assembly has discharged itself creditably well from making impactful legislation in virtually all areas of our human endeavor. We can, for instance, mention the promptitude of the Appropriation Act, the promptitude that would deal with issue of medium-term expenditure framework, the Bank and Other Financial Institution Act, which had not been touched for more than 2 decades, the Company and Allied Matter Act, the Police Amendment Act, Finance Act, and the various other legislations impactful on the life of our people. So in the area of lawmaking for good government of Nigeria, we have performed creditably in this area.
So I know that the Senate has done well in terms of passage of bills, particularly on education. Education has been the key word of our society, particularly the present generation.
Apart from organizing a social session to commemorate its 2nd year anniversary, the Senate President, Dr. Ahmed Lawan, led a delegation of senators to visit the Wassa Internally Displaced Persons Camp in Abuja on Thursday, June 10th. During the visit, the Senate delegation donated food items and assorted materials worth 10 million naira to the people in the camp. The purpose of the visit was to reach out and show empathy to Nigerians who have been languishing in the camp for years because of the insurgency in the northeast.
The Senate will remain focused on issues that really matter to Nigerians. And if there is any one single issue that every Nigerian is concerned with today in Nigeria, is the security situation. Actually, what we have here is a consequence of the security situation. And therefore, it's an ancillary problem.
The Senate President made a special appeal for the provision of adequate security at the camp.
This is an internally displaced people's camp. None of our sisters and brothers in this camp wanted to be here or wished to be here. All of them are forced to be in an IDP camp. The rest of us who are not in this camp, and those of us especially in leadership positions, are supposed to show empathy and commitment to first ensuring that while our compatriots are in this camp and indeed in any other camp, their life is protected, their dignity is protected. We must ensure that these Nigerians who are in this camp and indeed in all other refugee camps or IDP camps, who are vulnerable in so many ways, receive what is due to them from government. Let me say that they need to be protected. That is to say that there must be sufficient security presence here and indeed across the country.
Other personalities during the visit to the Wasa IDP camp, apart from the lawmakers, were the Minister of FCT, Mr. Mohammed Bello, the FCT Commissioner of Police, Mr. Bala Shiroma, as well as the Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees and Internally Displaced Persons, Mrs. Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, and the Deputy Director, Head of IDP's Department, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Displaced Persons, Fatima Daura.
So we can clap here.
Continuing the commemoration of its second anniversary, the Senate held a press conference with editors, bureau chiefs, and members of the Senate Press Corps. At the briefing, Senator Ahmed Lawan answered a wide variety of questions from journalists. He explained the reason behind the Ninth Assembly's resolve to collaborate with the executive arm of government, which he says is in the best interest of Nigerians.
The three-pronged agenda of the present Senate, the legislature, and indeed the administration are basically hinged on fighting corruption, eliminating insecurity, and economic transformation of our country. The mutual dependency and interrelationship between these key objectives cannot be attained with executive pronouncement and action alone, but also with the complementary support of the legislature towards strengthening existing institutional mechanisms or creating new institutions as a means of attaining these laudable objectives.
He also emphasized the intention of the Senate to continue to hold public officials accountable for their actions or inactions.
What I want, keep us accountable. Put pressure on us on anything Nigerians want. Talk to your members of the National Assembly. When we do our own part, please, if we're really truly and genuinely looking for resolutions to issues, shift the pressure or the attention to those that are supposed to implement. I'm sure that is how it is supposed to be. That is how citizen participation in governance will enhance democracy in Nigeria. But parliamentarians all over the world are not very popular. We too, I'm sure, we benefit from that kind of culture. And yet, without parliament and parliamentarians, there is no democracy. So it means the institution of the parliament necessarily needs the support of the citizens, regardless of who is in the parliament.
To wrap up the commemoration of the second anniversary of the Ninth Senate, on Saturday, June 12th, Senator Ahmed Lawan led a delegation of the Senate to a military hospital in Kaduna to show empathy for the wounded in actions who were brought from their various theaters of operations. The delegation visited the 44 Nigerian Army Reference Hospital, where the senators met with officers and soldiers on admission with various degrees of injuries.
The Senate wishes all our patients here very expeditious recovery, and I want to assure you on behalf of all of us in the Senate and the National Assembly that we are with you. We are with our Nigerian military. We continue to give all the support that is necessary. But in fact, we want to upscale the support because the situation today in the country requires that our military, our armed forces are better resourced for better results. So I on behalf of all of us in the National Assembly, want to express our concern and care for those who have been wounded on behalf of all of us, because we have given your all to defend the integrity of this country, and I believe that the nation will continue to be very grateful to you. The National Assembly is going to consider a request from Mr. President for more resources for the armed forces. Already the Federal Executive Council has approved that. So when we resume on the 22nd of this month from our anniversary recess, we'll be able to work so fast, so hard to pass the request of Mr. President so that more resources are given to our armed forces to continue to fight the insurgents and the other criminal elements giving Nigeria the trouble that we are in today. That we are very, very appreciative of the sacrifice to this nation.
The Senate President, on behalf of the Senate, announced a donation of 10 million naira to assist the hospital. Members of the Ninth Senate believe they have performed creditably well, considering the groundbreaking legislations passed which are significant enough to meet the needs of Nigerians. Ultimately, history will vindicate the immense contributions of the legislators of the Ninth Senate, and generations of Nigerians will be appreciative of the people-centered and result-oriented Ninth Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
I told you that you are very, very